look, it's just it's a label, isn't it? You know, it's a stigma you walk out with, and you'll carry it for the rest of your life. But for me, it's what do you then do with that? What do you do after that? You say former. What happens when you leave those gates? What is your desire to change and to prove to people that you have changed and prove to people that you're worth giving a chance to?
So if you take us back then to your kind of story, because I think people will be watching thinking, well, you seem very smart and very, I wasn't going to say anything else, but you seem like a very well-to-do young man. How would somebody like you end up in prison, and then how do you sort of rebuild your life when you come out?
Yeah, I mean, so I had a challenging upbringing, childhood, and I was doing my education, went to university, got a graduate training scheme, ultimately lost my job, and for whatever reason ended up driving a car full of skunk down the road. And I got stopped and sent to prison, duly sent to prison, rightly sent to prison. And that's the thing, like young people, we know there's a study done in 2019 by Bangor University around adverse childhood experiences, and that could be seeing a parent doing drugs or alcohol or violence in a home or sexual abuse. And they basically found that if you have 4 or more adverse childhood experiences, you're 20 times more likely to end up in prison. So we know that the root of people going on to commit crime and to be leading those kind of lives starts early in their life. So that's where it comes from. And really, if we're going to be trying to challenge it and change it, we've got to go back to helping people with their mental health and dealing with the issues which have still carried with them to the point they end up in prison. So
you ended up in prison. How long were you in there for?
I got a 3-year sentence, served just under a year and a half. And while I was in open prison, did a training course for gas engineering. Run with it. When I got released, I actually was trying to get a job doing what I used to do in account management and IT. Couldn't get a job because of it. So I then offered to work for free. As someone's working a building site, and I said, I'll come down and work free just to get experience. Work for free for a month, and after 5 months following that, they would pay me £30 a day, and I got qualified. And then that's it. I just took the opportunity and ran with it.
Now, you were in for a year and a half, but what about prisoners who've been in there for a long time? So somebody who's been there for like 15 years. What is there? Because you've obviously experienced the service, you've seen what's there. What is there in the prisons to enable people to then acclimatise to life outside it?
Yeah, so it goes back to what I said. You've got to look at the mental health and the therapy side of it, because these people would have experienced a lot of trauma whilst in there and before and caused trauma. So they need to be addressed in that. Then it's training and education, so they're developing skills that they can actually use in the real life and when they come out. And then it's that reintegration back into society, slowly reintegrating. At the moment, there's no mandatory period where people are going to open conditions.
So what do you mean by that then? So they're in prison, they just get released?
Yeah.
So is there a graduating step as you leave the prison?
There should be. And the prison service will say that there is, but there are numbers of cases that I've been brought to my attention of people that are serving 7, 10, 12 years behind the door, no reintegration to open prisons or slowly back in the community, and literally getting let out. That scares me.
Even you who've been inside?
Yeah. If you lock somebody up 24 hours a day for 3, 4, 5 years, don't give them any training, treat them like an animal, how are they going to behave? And that's why our reoffending rates are so high here.
Partly because there's nothing for them to go to, I presume.
Yeah.
And they have no...
It's a reoffending cycle.
But you got lucky, you got some training whilst you were in prison, and then when you came out, you were able to use that. How difficult was it to get another job, though? Because you said you tried to get back into what you were in.
Yeah.
But your conviction made it, on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult?
Yeah, there was no chance of me going back into what I did before.
Yeah.
So therefore, when I said, right, well, I've got this qualification that I've taken on, when I offered to work for free, working on the council contracts, installing systems, when I've offered that and they've said, fair enough, and I've gone down and I've worked really hard, people having lunch breaks and I'm still working, I really wanted it. And after a month, the guy was like, you're working too hard, I can't not pay you. So then I've proved, go back to that thing about proving your worth. When you get released, how can you prove to people in society, in business, in the world, that you're committed to changing, you're committed to bettering your life and to contributing back to society?